Assalamualaikum and good morning, Dr. Farah. I am Putri Nazairin and I will start with 1.0, which is the introduction. Afghanistan has faced war, poverty and political instability for many years, which have seriously affected its education system. Many children, especially in rural areas, cannot access a proper education because of damaged schools, lack of teachers and learning materials, poverty, safety issues, and natural disasters. Girls also face restriction on education and early marriage, causing millions of children to remain out of school. Improving education is important to reduce poverty, increase opportunities, and support Afghanistan's future development and stability. For the next point, I will pass to the next presenter. Thank you.
Now, I will explain the challenges of sustainable development in education in Afghanistan. There are four main challenges. First one is limited access to education. Second, restriction on girls' education. Third, lack of trained teachers. And the last one, damaged and limited school infrastructure. First, limited access to education is a major challenge in Afghanistan. Many children, especially those living in rural and mountainous areas, cannot attend school because schools are located far from their homes. Some families also cannot afford transportation, books, and school supplies. In addition, conflict and insecurity force many schools to close. As a result, many children are unable to receive basic education. Second, restriction on girls' education are one of the most serious issues. In Afghanistan, many girls are not allowed to continue their study beyond primary school, and some are banned from attending secondary school and universities. This prevents them from gaining knowledge and skills that are important for their future. It also limits their opportunity to get good jobs and contribute to the development of the country. Third, Afghanistan faces a shortage of trained and qualified teachers. Many teachers do not receive proper training, and some schools do not have enough teachers to teach all subjects effectively. This leads to lower teaching quality and make it harder for students to understand their lessons. Without skilled teachers, the education system cannot provide quality learning. Lastly, damaged and limited school infrastructure is another important challenge. Many school buildings have been destroyed by war and conflict. Some schools do not have enough classroom, furniture, electricity, clean water, or proper toilets. Students often study in overcrowded and uncomfortable conditions, which affects their concentration and motivation to learn. In short, sustainable development in education in Afghanistan is affected by several major challenges, including limited access to education, restriction on girls' education, lack of trained teachers, and poor school infrastructure. This issue must be addressed to ensure that all children in Afghanistan can receive a safe and quality education.
For 3.0 Strategic Action Plan, for my part, 3.1 Stakeholder Identification, UNICEF's CBE initiative Give Out of School Afghan Children, especially girls, safe place to learn in homes or times. UNICEF provides learning supplies, pay teacher, and work with family, local teacher, and donor to run the program. Okay. I choose this NGO, which is UNICEF, because they protect children's rights in Afghanistan education. They face many challenges like poverty, war, and a lack of school, especially for girls. To solve this, I choose to look at their programs called Community-Based Education CBE program. To give an example, in Herat province, UNICEF and the donor ECHO work together to train teachers and provide school supply. In this project, I believe that female become important roles model, which help increase the number of girls going to school. In conclusion, I believe that the teamwork between all these stakeholders give Afghan children hope for a better tomorrow through education. 3.2 Goals and Objectives. Okay, so the first one is goal. The goal to protect the basic right to education for our school Afghan children, especially girls. This is critical because without it, a whole generation of girls will grow up illiterate without safe space and without an economic future. So the second one is the objective. To reach this goal, UNICEF has two main action plans. So the first one is setting up safe CBE classroom inside village home or temporary tents so children can study safely close to their families. Second one is providing an equal learning environment by supplying textbook and paying local teachers' salary to keep the education quality. In conclusion, the combination of the ERA project and CBE classroom show how UNICEF successfully bring education directly to Afghan children during a crisis by supporting local teachers.
Next, I will explain about the potential barriers faced by UNICEF in implementing its action plan to improve education in Afghanistan. The first and biggest barrier is political instability. Afghanistan has been under Taliban control, and this has created many restrictions, especially on girls' education. In many areas, girls are not allowed to continue school after a certain age. This directly limits UNICEF efforts to provide an equal education opportunities for all children. Besides that, economic instability is also a major challenge. Afghanistan is currently facing a severe economic crisis where many families struggle to survive. And because of poverty, children are often forced to work to support their families instead of attending schools. This led to a higher dropout rates and reduces the effectiveness of UNICEF education program. Another barrier is the social and cultural mindset in some communities. In certain rural areas, some parents still believe that education is less important, especially for girls. Child marriage and traditional gender roles also prevent many children from continuing their studies. In addition, the increasing number of returning refugees and internally displaced families put more pressure on schools and educational resources. Many schools do not have the adequate infrastructure such as classrooms or learning materials to support the growing number of students. Lastly, security issues and ongoing conflicts remain a serious threat. Schools can become unsafe due to the violence, attacks, or armed conflict, making students and teachers afraid to attend school.
Next, I will continue for 3.4, the leadership roles, autonomy, mechanisms, and accountability. So basically, UNICEF works with the Ministry of Education, local communities, schools, NGOs, and international donors to improve education in Afghanistan through learning materials, teacher training, and community-based education programs. UNICEF also supports vulnerable children, especially girls, rural children, and children affected by conflict, by providing a temporary learning spaces, emergency education, and psychosocial support programs. Local education committees and school management groups allow communities to participate in monitoring school activities, student attendance, and school safety, making education more accessible and inclusive. UNICEF also ensures accountability through regular reports, program evaluation, feedback system, and cooperation with local authorities while also promoting long-term sustainability, gender equality, and inclusive education to achieve SDG 4, which is the quality of education. For the next point, I will pass to the next presenter.
Today, I will go through advantage of the plan about UNICEF role in reducing poverty, improve economic development, promote gender equality, and improve health and well-being of people in Afghanistan. For the first point, I will go through how UNICEF helps to reduce poverty by way of support children with disability through the National Education Strategic Plans, also known as NESP. This program helps ensure children with disability receive equal access to education and are not left behind. By providing inclusive education opportunity, UNICEF helps vulnerable children gain knowledge and skills that can improve their future and reduce poverty. For the second point, UNICEF have established community-based school, also known as CBS, in rural and conflict-affected area, where children have limited access to formal school. This school allows children, especially girls, to continue their education within their own community. However, by giving children access to education, UNICEF helps to improve their future opportunity and reduce poverty in Afghanistan. Moving on to the third point, UNICEF have established accelerated learning centers to help children who miss or stop their education because of poverty and conflict. These centers provide faster learning programs to help children to catch up with their studies and continue their education. However, through this initiative, UNICEF helps to improve children's future opportunity and reduce poverty in Afghanistan. Next, I'll explain how UNICEF helps to improve economic development in Afghanistan. Firstly, UNICEF launched vocational training programs for girls and young women to provide practical and technical skills that can help them find jobs and earn more income. For example, girls were trained in tailoring, handicraft, and small business management to improve their employability and also productivity. Moving on to the second point, UNICEF and humanitarian organizations introduced livelihood support programs to help vulnerable community improve their income and standards of living. These programs focuses on skills development and small-scale business so the individual can become financially independent. For example, a widow in Nangarhar province received support for her embroidery work, which enabled her to produce and sell traditional Afghan clothing to earn a stable income for her family. Last but not least, by improving agriculture sector, is one of the most important thing in Afghanistan because most people living in rural area only rely on farming as their main source of income. Since many industries in Afghanistan are still underdeveloped, the agricultural sector plays a major role in supporting the country's economy. For example, the Afghan government developed irrigation, canals, greenhouses, and saffron farms to improve agriculture productivity, food security, and job opportunity for rural community.
Moving on to the third advantages of the action plan, which is promoting gender equality. Education plays a very important role in creating equal opportunities for both boys and girls. Through UNICEF initiatives, children, especially girls, are given the access to education regardless of their background or location. This is important because in Afghanistan, girls often face discrimination and limited opportunities due to cultural and political restriction. By giving the girls right to education, UNICEF helps them build the knowledge, confidence, and skills for their future. For example, through the community-based education program, many girls living in rural and remote areas are still able to continue learning even when formal schools are unavailable or inaccessible. Education also helps reduce social issues such as child marriage and forced marriage. When girls stay in school longer, they are more likely to delay marriage, make informed life choices, and become financially independent. In addition, UNICEF also introduced the Adolescent and Youth Network programs where girls are taught important life skills, awareness on child marriage prevention, and how to protect themselves from gender-based violence. Lastly, another major advantage of UNICEF Action Plan is improving health and well-being among children and communities in Afghanistan. One of UNICEF's major contributions is providing vaccination programs against dangerous diseases such as polio and measles. The program helps protect the children from life-threatening illness and reduce child mortality rates. In addition, UNICEF also improves water, sanitation, and hygiene facilities in schools. Access to clean water and proper sanitation is very important because it prevents diseases and creates a healthier learning environment for students. For example, through the primary healthcare program, UNICEF provides basic medical treatment, health education, and hygiene awareness to children and families. Communities are also supplied with essential items such as soap, clean water, and sanitary products. Another important initiative is the Women and Girls Safe Space program. This program focuses on mental health and emotional support by providing safe environment for women and girls who have experienced trauma, violence, or stress. This is especially important because many Afghan children and women have gone through war, displacement, and emotional hardship. Mental support helps them recover and continue living their healthy lives.
Last but not least is 5.0, which is the conclusion. In conclusion, education in Afghanistan is still facing a serious challenges such as limited access, restrictions on girls, lack of trained teachers, and weak infrastructure. Through UNICEF's support and cooperation with key stakeholders, efforts are being made to improve learning opportunities for all children. Overall, strengthening education is essential to ensure a better future, promote equality, and support a long-term development in Afghanistan. That's all from us. Thank you.